Tomas was washing a window on the 24th floor of a large office building, and suddenly he heard someone screaming. The guy looked outside and saw a lady falling from the 30th floor. But in 5 minutes, the woman was standing on the ground, totally unharmed. How did she survive? Take a closer look at the sky. Yes, it's Superman! He saved the lady. Look at the picture. What's wrong here? Watermelons don't grow on palms. Twin brothers Stan and Ken had been working hard. They wanted to collect money for their mother's anniversary. Unfortunately, they didn't manage to save enough to buy her the car of her dreams. The brothers were very upset and agreed to go shopping the next day and pick another gift. At night, Ken couldn't fall asleep because he got a genius idea. While his twin was sleeping, Ken secretly took all their savings and headed to a casino. It was his lucky night. He tripled the sum. In the morning, Ken put all the money back in the box and fell asleep. Stan woke up, opened the box, and immediately realized that Ken had touched their savings. He didn't even need to count the money to understand that. How did Stan figure it out? In the box, there were large and small bills in the evening, but now there are only large ones. Kelly was traveling and discovered a beautiful abandoned castle. She entered the building and went downstairs. She was taking pictures when someone locked her inside the basement. Kelly looked around and saw 3 tunnels leading to freedom. In the first tunnel, a huge hungry monster was waiting for her. The second tunnel was full of snakes, and the third tunnel was filled with sleeping gas. In 5 minutes, Kelly was outside the castle, running to the nearest police station. How did she escape? She used her headband as a mask and ran away through the third door. Look at these animals attentively. What's wrong with this picture? This little guy on the left is listening to music. 2 sisters went on a hike. Each of them took a box of matches. Nellie put her matches in a bag together with toothpaste, and Shelley decided to store her matches in a bag with nail polish. While the sisters were walking through the forest, they accidentally fell into a huge puddle. When they got out of it, Shelley suggested making a fire to dry their clothes and cook something to eat. Both sisters took out their matches. Unfortunately, Nellie's matches were covered in toothpaste, and Shelley's were in nail polish. Both girls left the matches to dry in the sun and left to collect some firewood. It started raining, and all the matches got soaked. But 10 minutes later, the sisters still managed to make a fire and toast some marshmallows. Whose matches did they use? They used Shelley's matches. The nail polish dried and made them waterproof. If you don't keep it, it'll break. What is it? It's a promise. Susan was asked to describe her sons. She said, "They're all redheads but 3, all blondes but 3, all brunettes but 3, and all pink-haired but 3. How many sons did Susan have? The answer is 4. 1 redhead, 1 pink-haired, 1 brunette, and 1 blonde. Lisa was a famous top model. She was found unconscious in her dressing room during a photo shoot and taken to a hospital. Doctors said she had a severe allergic reaction, but when Lisa came to herself, she insisted she hadn't eaten anything all day. The model's manager was very concerned and interrogated everyone who had been around Lisa. The stylist said she had applied Lisa's makeup and, indeed, hadn't seen her eating anything. The cleaning lady said she had cleaned the dressing room with organic, non-allergenic products. Lisa's main rival, Nora, said she had been watching the shooting all day long. She hadn't noticed anything suspicious. Who's the culprit? It was the stylist. Lipstick was the only thing Lisa could have swallowed that day. Look at the pictures. Which of these people is a risk taker? The girl is risking less. She's sitting on the second floor, and there's a pool below. The guy is risking more. The building he's sitting on is taller. You can see clouds and planes in the sky. What food can you never cheer up? A blueberry, because it's always blue. Haha. Okay, let's move on. There are 5 lemons in a bowl. You take away 3 of them. How many lemons do you have now? Well, you have the 3 lemons you took. King Gerald has a very beautiful daughter named Teresa. 4 princes from different countries came to the kingdom, hoping to marry the girl. But the king decided to check how smart they were and organized a special contest. Teresa was in the center of a 200 by 200 foot room, and the princes were standing on small boxes in each corner of the room. The first prince to touch Teresa's hand would become her husband, but they weren't allowed to leave their places or use anything but their hands or wits. One of the princes figured out what to do immediately. He married the princess. What did he do? He just asked Teresa to come over and touched her hand.
Take a look at these emojis. It's the most downloaded app of 2021. It's TikTok. Another simple one to ease you in. This, of course, is the weather app. How about this one next? "71% of Americans use this app, and the answer is Facebook. We have these emojis for number 4. This app is a lifesaver for people across the world that need to store and send big files electronically. It's Dropbox. It's time for another set. This is the Apple app that loads of people use to surf the web, Safari. Which app do these emojis stand for? That's Airbnb, a popular app that lets users book holiday homes across the world. Now, which app is this? This one is PayPal, a handy payment service used by many websites. Take a look at this pair of emojis. The answer is Angry Birds. It started off as a mobile game in 2009 and is now a massive global franchise. Now, let's really test you. Sound this one out and you get Tinder, otherwise known as Tinder, the dating app that's already made over a whopping 55 billion matches. Next up, we have this. It's Firefox, the web browser made by Mozilla. Have you used this today? This one, of course, is Netflix. Now, turn your attention to this one. Launched in April 2004, this one is Google's free email app, Gmail. let's make things a little trickier. Take a look at these emojis. It's the world's most popular shopping app, Amazon. It was founded in 1994 by Jeff Bezos from his garage. Within 30 days, it had generated $20,000 per week in sales. Which app do these emojis represent? Now, who hasn't heard of Snapchat? Check this one out. It's a video calling app called FaceTime. This app is super famous. The mirror represents you, and when combined with the tube, this gives us YouTube. YouTube has over 2.3 billion users worldwide. Some people can't imagine life without this app. These emojis represent Instagram. There are around 1,000 photos uploaded to Instagram every second. Next up, this one is Twitter. The famous blue bird became the company's mascot in 2010. It symbolizes the freedom and endless possibilities that supposedly come with Twitter. Okay, now it's time to really test you. Take a look and guess the app. This one is the instant message service Telegram, which launched back in 2013. Check this one out. If you've got this one, I'm impressed. The answer is the secondhand marketplace Depop. People across the world use the app to buy and sell unwanted clothes. Now, try this. This one is Facebook's dedicated messaging app, Messenger. Next up, let's go back to an easier one. It's Apple Maps, the app Apple users rely on to get from A to B. It comes pre-installed on most Apple gadgets. Which whale is different from the rest? The one in the middle. Its water fountain is smaller than the others. Can you spot a different face? This guy has an eye patch on the opposite eye. Try to figure out which smiley is different. It was tricky. And how about these emojis? Which is the odd one? This one is blowing a kiss in the opposite direction. Can you spot a briefcase that looks different from the others? It's the one with a more complicated clasp. Which tiger is the odd one? This one, mostly because it's a cheetah. It likes to break the rules. Get it? Cheetah? Try to find a different emoji as fast as you can. Right you are, it's the happy one. Which emoji is different? This guy seems to have shorter hair than the others. And another tough challenge for you. It's the smiley that has its eyes open. Which horsey is the odd one? This animal doesn't have a white spot on its muzzle. Have you noticed the odd emoji? It's this little guy with no eyebrows. Which car is different from the rest? Right, this one has fewer windows than the others. Try to find the odd face here. This man's hairstyle looks different. Can you spot the lion that doesn't fit in? This animal at the bottom has only one ear. Which bee is the odd one? It's the one without antenna.
You've spent several days in the jungle in search of an ancient artifact. You have a spear, a bottle of water, and a flashlight. You climb a hill and look at the rainforest. You hear the sound of crunching branches from below. You notice a lion. What will you do? Use a spear? Scream to scare away the animal? Or should you give it some water? Make up your mind. Time's running out. You've noticed the lion, but who said the lion had noticed you? Just wait for it to leave. An old man is sitting in the hall among young students. He can hardly see the teacher who entered the hall. The teacher carefully looks at all the students and informs them that there's just one question they have to answer to pass the exam. He takes a shiny billiard ball out of his briefcase and puts it on the table. Prove that this ball doesn't exist, the teacher says. The exam ends in a few hours. All students write their answers on a piece of paper, and almost all of them get a bad grade. In the end, the old man with poor eyesight approaches the teacher. He gives him a paper with only 2 words on it. The teacher gives the old man the highest score. What was written on his sheet of paper? Which ball? The old man wrote. Now you're in a dark dungeon. You're looking for a werewolf to defeat it. At this point, your torch goes out. You hear a growl behind you. It's scared. "I'm sorry, Mr. Werewolf," you say, and rush to the exit as fast as you can. You run out of the dungeon and find yourself in a field. 3 paths are in front of you. A pit with snakes, a road with scorpions, and a poisonous lake. What will you choose? Can you see a hat on the water in the right part of the lake? This means that the lake is frozen. Just run on it. As soon as you cross the lake, you see a little puppy coming out of the dungeon. It barks at you and runs back into the dungeon. You're in an old tavern. Robbers, wizards, and pirates are all around you. The young magician puts a small box on the table and says, "There are 3 cents in here, but only 2 coins. One of them is not 1 cent. How can this be possible?" What coins are inside the box? One coin is 2 cents, and the other one is a 1 cent coin. The magician said that only one of the 2 cents is not a 1 cent coin. You're walking through a dark forest and notice a door. It's just standing there by itself. You open it, take a step, and you find yourself in a wonderful pink world. There are pink rivers and pink trees there. You see a 1-story pink house and go inside. All the furniture is pink. A meowing pink cat is walking around. You walk down the corridor to the stairs leading to the 2nd floor. What color is this staircase? There are no stairs in the house. It's a 1-story building, remember? You and hundreds of other farmers roam the desert. You've lost your crops because of drought. There is almost no water. You go towards the sea to start a new life, but at this moment, clouds are accumulating over the whole plain. Lightning flashes in the black sky. A heavy downpour falls on the ground. All the people are screaming with joy and dancing in the rain. After a few seconds, you get soaked to the skin and freeze. You look around at the crowd of soaked people and notice one man among them. Despite the downpour, not a single hair on his head got wet. How is this possible? The man is bald. You wake up inside an airplane because of a loud engine. You don't remember how you got here and don't know what's going on. You get up from your chair and find no other people on the plane. You walk forward, look into the cockpit, and oh no, the pilots are not there. You look around in search of a parachute, but don't find anything. You look out the window and decide to take a desperate step. You open the emergency exit and jump out of the plane. You land on the asphalt unharmed. How is this possible? The plane wasn't flying anywhere. It was standing still on the ground. You're driving a car nervously looking in the rearview mirror. No one seems to be following you. The stars and the moon are not visible because of the clouds. The road seems empty. You're driving with your headlights off. No one should notice you. At this moment, an old woman dressed in a black suit crosses the road. The moon is not shining. The headlights are off. She is dressed in black. Despite all these factors, you slow down, stop the car, and let the old lady cross the road. How did you notice her? No one said it happened at night. You were driving in the afternoon. You're climbing to the top of the highest mountain on the planet Flycilium. You're the first person in history who manages to do this. Once you reach the top, you will receive a cash prize from the Galactic Tourism Federation. The whole planet is covered with snow and ice. It's very cold, dry, and lifeless here. The only place with green grass and warm air is the peak where you're heading now. Exhausted, you finally reach your goal and fall to the ground. However, the Galactic Tourism Federation refuses to pay you. Why is that? Did you notice shoe marks on the grass? It means that someone was here before you.
The principal congratulated Lily on getting accepted to the School of Magic and asked the ghost to show her the dorm room. Lily fell asleep very quickly, but in the middle of the night, she woke up floating out of her window. Two students prepared a welcome prank for her. Lily found herself on a castle roof. The two students in masks said, "We'll set you free if you guess this riddle." There are 4 frogs in the vertical row and 5 frogs in the horizontal row. Lily has to move just 1 frog so that there are 5 frogs in each row. Can you help her? Yep, just like that. Easy. The students wrote 5 words in the air using their magic wands. Then they asked Lily to take a look at the words and find the odd one out. Can you name it? The board doesn't belong here because it doesn't form a word if you read it backward. The wizards opened a portal and pushed Lily inside. The portal took her to a creepy basement where Lily found 3 doors. There's a wild jungle with a hungry gorilla behind the first door. Behind the second door, there's a river with wild alligators waiting to eat Lily. And there's a huge angry cobra behind the third door. Which way should Lily go? She should pick the first one. She can distract the gorilla with all these bananas. Next morning, Lily went to her first class, but someone locked the door. Lily pushed the door and noticed a screen with a riddle. It said, "Find an odd detail out and I'll let you in." Can you see it? This one is not an S. Lily opened the door and faced another door with a similar riddle. Can you help her? This guy doesn't belong here. The last door offered Lily this riddle. In 2 seconds, she entered the classroom and started her studies. What detail did she notice? This one, right here. During the class, a teacher offered Lily to find 3 differences between these 2 pictures. Can you see them? That's right, here they are. How about these images? Can you see 3 differences? I didn't see this one coming. Can you help Lily spot 3 differences here? Good job! I hope you got them all. Lily came to the dining room for lunch. Plates full of food appeared out of the air. But Lily's classmate, Mike, warned her that only one dish is actually edible. Can you help Lily figure out which one? This delicious-looking spaghetti has rusty nails in it. This food isn't even real. Take a look, it's translucent. This salad contains worms. Ew. And this taco looks pretty good. After lunch, Lily had a botany lesson. The teacher went to the garden to pick fruits from one apple tree and prepare a special healing potion. The tree has 18 branches. Each branch has exactly 14 boughs. Each bough has 7 twigs, and each twig has 2 fruits. How many oranges will the teacher pick? Lily instantly gave the correct answer. Can you name it? The teacher won't bring any oranges. They don't grow on apple trees. Lily went apple picking with Mike. On the way back, they met 4 of their classmates. There were only 5 apples in the basket. Lily had to divide them equally between the students. But 1 apple had to remain in the basket she'd bring to class. How would she divide the apples? She can give 4 apples to the classmates, leaving 1 apple in the basket for Mike, and then walk to class with Mike. In the evening, Lily found one of her roommates unconscious in the backyard. The principal questioned 3 suspects. Mike went to bed early and loud noises woke him up. Leah was watching her favorite show. She didn't go outside at all. Kelly was carving pumpkins to spice up the living room, and she didn't see anything suspicious. Who's lying? Looks like Kelly is lying. The room isn't decorated, and the pumpkins aren't finished. Next day, Lily opened her closet and noticed that her favorite dress was missing. She spoke to 3 of her roommates. Leah said she'd spent all morning in the library. Kelly confessed that she had been on a secret date. And Vanessa despises all clothes from the human world. She doesn't even come close to it. Who's lying? Vanessa is lying. Look at her hat. It's made from the same fabric as Lily's dress. If human clothing is so disgusting to her, why does she wear it herself? Mike learned a new spell and turned his textbook into a fancy car. He invited Lily for a ride. 3 people were hitchhiking at a gas station. All of them looked pretty suspicious. Who should Lily and Mike give a ride to? This man doesn't cast a shadow. He's a vampire. This lady was bitten by a vampire. She'll soon turn into a vampire too, so it's not safe to offer her a ride. And this guy is just an ordinary man.
Oh yeah.
Lily entered a classroom and received a new riddle.
Oh yes.
4 wizards are lined up on some steps. They're all facing the same direction. A wall separates the 4th wizard from the remaining 3. The first wizard can see the 2nd and 3rd wizard. The 2nd wizard can only see the 3rd one. The 3rd wizard can see none of the others. And the 4th wizard can't see any of the others either. All wizards are wearing hats. They are told there are 2 white hats and 2 black hats. The wizards initially don't know what color hat they're wearing. Their task is to shout out the color of the hat they are wearing as soon as they know for certain what color it is. They're not allowed to turn around or move. They're not allowed to talk to each other or take their hats off. Who is the first person to shout out and why? The second wizard will shout out the answer after some time. Here's why. Wizards 3 and 4 cannot see the other's hats. Wizard 1 sees a white hat and a black hat and knows his hat can be black or white. Wizard 2 sees one black hat, but if he's also wearing a black hat, it would be obvious to Wizard 1 that he's wearing a white hat. Since Wizard 1 didn't shout out, Wizard 2 concluded that he himself was wearing a white hat. Mrs. Cooper was going to the bank when she passed out. Cece was passing by when she noticed the woman on the ground. She called the ambulance and the police. Soon the woman came to her senses, but she found out that someone had stolen all her money. There were 3 suspects, Cece and 2 other pedestrians, Teo and Mason. Who is the thief? Look, there are 2 types of footsteps leading to the place where Mrs. Cooper is lying. One of them belongs to her, and the other was left by Cece. There are also 2 parallel straight lines, which must be the prints left by a wheelchair. So, the thief must be the man in the wheelchair, Mason. Mrs. Ford reported to the police that her neighbor, Anthony, had stolen her golden figurine. She said, "I was upstairs vacuum cleaning when I heard someone enter the house. I walked up to the window and saw my neighbor leaving the house a half-minute later. When I went downstairs, I saw that my golden figurine had been stolen." Anthony denied passing by Mrs. Ford's house that day. Who should the detective believe? He should believe Anthony. Vacuum cleaners are noisy, so Mrs. Ford couldn't possibly hear anyone enter her house. Cheryl was having a birthday party. She noticed that her brother was staying in his room with some girl, but she didn't know who it was. Cheryl got curious, so after they left, she sneaked into his room to look for some hints. There were 3 girls at the party, Jasmine, Willow, and Sylvia. Cheryl immediately guessed who her brother was dating. Can you figure it out? It's Sylvia. Look, there's a jacket in the room. Sylvia was wearing it at the party. Now, I'll show you some pictures, and you'll need to understand what's wrong with them. Let's go. Here's the first one. The door hinges and the handle are on the same side of the door. Doors don't work this way. Here's another one. What's wrong here? The woman isn't wearing a necklace, but it's reflected in the mirror. And what about this one? Nine and 11 are messed up. It should be the other way around. This one should be easy, but keep your eyes wide open. Right, there's no red traffic light. Paris went on an expedition to a desert for a month. She didn't have a strong internet connection, so she couldn't talk to her boyfriend often. Still, one day, she managed to video call him. But that call didn't end well. The girl broke up with the guy. Why? Look at the background. It's nighttime for Paris's boyfriend, but he is obviously having dinner with some girl. There's a second plate and a glass with a lipstick print on it. Storm was walking with his friend in the park. Suddenly, it started raining, and they had to go home. Storm ran back as fast as he could because he didn't have a raincoat, an umbrella, or even a hood. Still, when he finally got home after running in the rain for 10 minutes, not a single hair on his head was wet. How is it possible? Storm was bald. In an alternate reality, Mrs. Savad was trying to persuade her daughter, Amy, to go to a party. Amy wanted to do her homework instead. Weird, huh? Mrs. Savad bought Amy an amazing dress, but the girl still refused. It continued until her mom promised that if Amy went to that party, She'd let her do her homework 16 hours a day every day for another month. Later, Mrs. Savad left for her own party. When she returned, she realized that Amy hadn't left the house. How did she know? There's still a price tag on the dress, which means that Amy didn't wear it. Violet had a genius but crazy sister who was always making traps in the basement. One day, Violet went downstairs to get her laundry. As soon as she walked in, the door got locked and wouldn't open. There were 3 buttons. Violet knew that one of them would open the door, but the other 2 would electrocute her. Luckily, her sister had mercy. There was a hint. Which of the buttons will let Violet get out of the basement? If you put the letters in the right order, you'll see purple button written there. That's the one. Mrs. West came to the police station asking to check on her husband. She said that he was in his office when she called him. Suddenly, she heard her husband fall to the floor, and about 10 seconds later, he hung up without saying anything. She called him again, then she came to his office, but he didn't open the door. The detective arrived at the office and found Mr. West unconscious. The detective was sure that the man wasn't alone in the room when it all happened. Why? Someone had to hang up the phone. If the man had suddenly fainted, the phone would have fallen on the floor. You work in a baggage storage room at the airport. 3 people come and give you their bags at the same time. Now, you don't remember who each bag belongs to. Take a look inside and try to figure it out. There's just one girl, so the bag with a dress inside probably belongs to her. The blind man doesn't need this mirror, which means that this bag must belong to the bald man. And the bald man doesn't need a hairbrush, so the third bag must belong to the blind man. Lilibet always wanted to have a cat, but her mom never allowed her to get one. Once, the girl found a kitten in the street and brought it home. She knew her mom would make her take it to the shelter, so she decided to hide the animal. Once Lilibet's mom walked into the girl's room and realized there was a cat living there. How did she know that? Look, the walls and the sofa are scratched at the bottom. Mrs. Jones was working a night shift. Her daughter, Emmeline, wanted a friend to stay with her, but Mrs. Jones didn't allow it because it was a school night. When the woman returned, she realized that Emmeline had still invited her friend over. How did the woman understand it? There's a pair of earrings in the bathroom. Mrs. Jones and Emmeline don't have their ears pierced, so these must belong to someone else. Melody and Belle are sisters. Melody has cool clothes, and Belle always borrows something from her without permission. One day, Melody was going to a party and couldn't find her favorite top. She knocked on her sister's door. Belle opened the door, but saw it was her sister and shut it. In a couple of seconds, Melody broke into the room and started searching for the top. But she didn't find it anywhere and had to leave. On her way out, she remembered something and managed to find it. Where? Melody remembered that when Belle opened the door, she had her hoodie unzipped. After she shut the door, Belle zipped it. She was wearing the top. Atlas was wandering in a forest and came across a huge mansion. He walked in, and the doors behind him got locked. There were 3 ways out. Behind the first door, there was a room with poisonous gas that made your skin melt. Behind the second door, there was a hungry wolf. Behind the third door, there was a window, but there was no ladder. How can Atlas escape safely? He should pick the third door. He just walked in, so he's on the first floor. He won't need a ladder to get out of the window safely. Mr. Mason didn't really like a huge tree growing by his neighbor's house because it hid the sun. He was super happy when the tree was no more one day after a raging storm at night. Still, his neighbor called the police and reported Mr. Mason for cutting the tree on purpose. Mr. Mason denied doing it. Who is right? If it were the storm that broke the tree, the cut would be messy, but the tree is perfectly sawn off, so it's some person's work. Maybe not Mr. Mason, but definitely not the storm. Kaya likes having fun, so she decided that she would only tell the truth on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays and lie on all other days. So one day she said, "Tomorrow I will tell the truth." What day did Kaya say it? If Kaya says it on one of the days she tells the truth, then she will lie because she lies the next day. So she said it on a day she lies. And the next day, she must lie too because she lied about telling the truth. The only case when she can lie 2 days in a row is Saturday and Sunday. So she must have said it on Saturday. Enola got poisoned after school. A detective interrogated the classmates, and one girl said she saw another girl, Bethany, adding something to Enola's water bottle. No one else saw it. Bethany said that she had been in a cafe after school, and her boyfriend confirmed that. The cafe's employee said that she indeed had seen Bethany and her boyfriend. She even showed a picture from the security camera. Still, Bethany was arrested for poisoning Enola. Why? Take a look at the picture of Bethany. She has a birthmark on her left cheek. But the girl on the security camera who was in the cafe with Bethany's boyfriend didn't have it. It turns out she had a twin sister who lied for her. Kara is an archaeologist who explores ancient caves. So she got trapped in one of them. She found another way, but she was on the bottom of a 45-foot cave. Kara's only option was to climb up. Every day, she could climb up 15 feet, and during the night, she would slip 5 feet down. How many days will it take her to get out? Four. In the evening of the first day, Carol will be 15 feet up, but in the morning of the second day, she'll be at 10 feet. In the morning of the third day, she'll be 20 feet up, and in the morning of the fourth day, she'll be 30 feet up. Then, by the end of the day, she'll make the remaining 15 feet and get out. Mrs. Lawrence grounded her daughter Madison for bad grades. She worked night shifts and had to leave for work. The night was warm and bright. Just like Mrs. Lawrence expected, when she returned home, she knew that Madison had sneaked out at night for a party. How did she understand it? If you paid attention, you could notice that the car was parked differently when Mrs. Lawrence was leaving the house. This means that Madison used it at night. The little sneak. That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side.